Welcome back to the lecture series on rubber dam. In today's video, we will begin learning how the rubber dam is applied. So let's start with the very first step, which is optional but really helpful. That is orientation marking on the rubber dam sheet. Now, this step isn't compulsory, but I always recommend it, especially in procedures like root canal treatments. Sometimes during the endodontic treatments, we may need to temporarily remove the rubber dam, for example, to take an X-ray. And when we place it back, we need to reorient it exactly the same way to make sure the punched holes still match the patient's teeth. That's why making a small orientation mark is very useful. It helps you reposition the rubber dam quickly and accurately without confusion. Now, where exactly should you place the mark? I usually place a mark on the top left corner of the rubber dam sheet. But before doing that, we have to identify which side of the dam we are going to work on. Typically, rubber dam sheet have two surfaces, a shiny side and a dull side. Always work on the dull side because it reflects less light and it will also give the better visibility while working. So after the identification of the dull side, then the next step that you have to do is taking a marker and place a small dot on the top left corner of that side. So this becomes a fixed reference point now. And it is not mandatory that you have to use the top left corner or even use a marker. You can choose any corner, but what is important is to remember where you placed your mark and always reorient the rubber dam in the same direction. If you don't want to use a marker, there is another option where you can use a rubber dam punch and just punch a hole in the corner instead. Whether you use a marker or a punch, both options are completely fine. Just choose whatever you're comfortable with. So, the second step in the rubber dam application is identifying the area that needs to be isolated. This step is really important because the number of teeth you isolate depends entirely on the location of the teeth you are working on and the type of the procedure you are performing. So, let me explain this more clearly by using this model here. Suppose the operating area is the anterior teeth, like incisors or even the mesial surfaces of the canines. Then isolation should begin from the first premolar on one side to the first premolar on the other side. Now, suppose you are working on the canine itself, let's say buccal surface of the canine, then you will need to extend your isolation even more. In that case, you should anchor your clamp on the first molar and extend the punched holes all the way to the opposite lateral incisor. That means from the first molar on the working side to the lateral incisor on the opposite side. This wide field not only gives you better access and visibility, but also will give you a stable finger rest while you're working, especially for the procedures like composite restorations. So, when you are working on the posterior teeth like premolars or molars, here is how you have to plan your isolation. You must include at least one or two teeth distal to the tooth being treated. Example, if you are working on the second premolar, you can clamp the first molar or even the second molar behind it. That will act as your anchor. Then, you extend the isolation anteriorly all the way to the opposite lateral incisor, crossing the midline. If you are working on the first molar and if you are able to clamp the most distal tooth, let's say tooth number 8. If not, go for tooth 7. But regardless, make sure the anterior extension crosses the midline because that will give you a better control, dryness and retraction. Now, ideally, we want to isolate this full arch segment, but even if you can't do that due to the space or patient limitation, you must isolate at least 3 teeth, including one being worked on. That is minimum. There is one exception, and that's for the endodontic procedures. If you are doing a root canal treatment, then you can isolate only the tooth that's being treated. So, if you are doing an RCT on the central incisor, you isolate just that central. If it is the first molar, then isolate only the first molar.
If you found this video helpful, hit the bell icon below and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned to Tooth Fairy Tales for more dental videos.